Welcome back to Al-Asad. In this video, we're going to talk about using large shields and the reasons why they're strapped in the way that they are. In general, all the shields from the region are used the same way. There's this idea that once shields got to be a certain size, that you would strap them to your forearm and use them differently. I don't think this idea is correct, and I think that's us as Westerners pushing the idea of how Western shields were used onto the culture of the Middle East. We don't really see any reason why you would strap your shield in this way when it has straps to hold it on a center grip. Also, in context, when we look at things such as strength training, methods of training, they used large shields, which were always center gripped and extremely heavy. So you might have a pair like of Sang that are 50 kilograms, 60 kilograms, and they're center gripped. And when you're strength training with those, you're essentially training your wrists a lot, your arms and your shoulder, which are the reasons why people say you change the grip of your shield from a center grip to a forearm grip. Things like it can take the weight off your hand, the shield's too heavy, and this type of thing. Unfortunately, the answer to that is that you need to get stronger. So you need to train outside of just swinging your sword and using these small shields that we use most of the time. You can get techniques and this from your small shield, and we don't really see the large shields a lot because in any type of tournaments that exist now, the large size Sapar or Kalkan or something like this doesn't fit into any category that we can use them in. However, the point is that you would use them the same way as your small shield, your small Sapar, your Dal, or like a buckler. We, in this context of the Middle East, Indo-Persia, Turco-Persian, we have different techniques that aren't necessarily the equivalent of European buckler techniques. So we'll have a Sapar, and those techniques are different. However, one thing that's interesting is the Sang movements that are Sang are big shields you'll see in Pahlavani techniques of strength training. You see this throughout the region. The movements they do are the same as documented shield techniques that we see in Persian manuscripts. So that being said, there are shields that have additional buckles on them. So here we have this large shield here. See, it has the two center buckles. So under the context of everything I just said, you would generally use this shield in this manner. With the center grip, holding it out. This shield is heavy, and even when I got it, it was heavy for me, but through getting my muscles bigger, it's easier to use now as a one-handed like this. But that is the main concern, that people say they're too heavy, my arm gets too sore, etc., etc. But in training with Sang, you do movements like this, wrist movements like this. So when you spin your shield like this, you can feel the muscles here, right, along with your wrist muscles. And these motions here are documented shield movements when you're fighting. So what are these for? These two buckles here. Now we see these generally in this specific setup of 6 buckles. We'll see in Indo-Persian type of shields. So in India and Persia, you see these. If it's a Turkish shield like a Kalkan, they'll generally have 2 back here as well. We know that these 2 on this specific setup that has 6 buckles, these 2 face the outside, right? So that we know from documentation and miniatures that those face the outside. So it's not going to work this way. So that eliminates the possibility of these buckles used on your forearm to give you some, like take the weight off your wrist so much. That eliminates that. So the other thing is that then your arm goes this way through it. And you grab the front buckle. So you can see I was holding it this way. Now you can shift and hold it this way. It's loose because I have it strapped for when I'm have my armor on. So now you can see you have a different shield, and a lot of people will fight with this manner, right? And you doing so, you kind of then switch to like a typical Western style of fighting with your shield. That's where I think that we're incorrect in doing. And I think when we're fighting, you default back to the center grip. If the case was for you to fight this way with your shield this way, why did these two buckles remain and they didn't just become two buckles like a rotella or something like that? Because these two buckles are here, I feel that this is only used for a specific reason. So what would that reason be? The reason, at least I think, is when you are using some sort of other weapon in this hand. For example, your naizé or your bow. If you're using a spear, naizé is a spear, you're using it with two hands, and this, you can grip it from here. You cannot grip stuff with this large shield due to the curvature of the shield from the center grip. It's like technically an impossibility. Here's the curvature of this shield. This shield is really thick. It's hammered out by hand. So we'll show you an example. So if you have your bow and you have the center grip, so you can see it's going to be difficult. So if you hold your bow, one, you can barely even hold your bow like that. And if you were holding it, you see the string is rubbing against your arm, right? So this makes the shooting impossible. So even if you had your, we'll switch it this way just to demonstrate. If I had the buckles looser and was still able to hold it, when I go to draw, the arrow is going to hit here, right? Just because of the curve, the mechanics of the weapon, it's not going to be allowed to shoot. So we switch to holding it this way. And now you can see the arrow will be able to fire, and you can use your bow because it clears the edge of the shield in all ways. And if you had a naizé, it would be the same way. Just because the way the shaft is, the shaft would be essentially laying this way, and the gap from here to here is too big to grab because it's too far away. But as you come to the edge, due to the curvature, the buckles are actually closer to the rim and allow you to hold the weapon in that manner. So that's what I think these buckles are for. The main thing is use the center grip. If you have your bow, use this. But then when they would go to fight, they would switch back to using the shield from the center grip. So that's it for today. Thanks and have a good day.